Hey, what's up? If you've kept up long enough with my videos, you would know that I'm not a very religious or spiritual guy. So there's one particular argument that I want to address before any of you who happen to be religious, theists, spiritual, and whatnot. Basically anybody that believes in a god, which I know you guys are not foreign to coming into my channel. Hell, I have a video of, myself asking for a debate with, you know, a whole lot of you, which is still on, by the way, if anybody would, like to go about that, because I'm sure you have better arguments and whatnot, quote unquote. But this is a particular argument that I just wanted to address from the get-go, because if I keep making my channel long enough, I keep talking about religion, God, and how I don't really see how that makes any sense in the slightest. I know I'm bound to most likely get this sort of comment at one point or another. Here's the thing. Pascal's wager, absolutely weak. It's the worst. Well, I don't know, maybe there is much worse, but at least one of the worst arguments you can come at to try to convince somebody of God. And my basic understanding of it, we've all heard it in some form or another, basically is that you should believe in God, because even if he's not real, then nothing happens to you as somebody that believes in God. Whereas if you didn't believe in God and it just so happens that God is real, oh, you're gonna, burn in hell for an eternity and whatnot. So basically, it's not even an argument. You can say it's kind of just a fear tactic, basically. It's a fear tactic. And essentially, it can apply towards any sort of belief. So whether you're Christian, let's say, whether you're Muslim or something, if you believe in some sort of made up idea of a hell or something, then anybody can use it. So why should I believe you in particular when you say, oh, Jesus needs to fucking save me, otherwise I'm gonna be miserable in hell for an eternity? And a Muslim can say the same thing, and basically it all just kind of adds up to, oh, you guys are just trying to scare me into believing. Even if you don't think you are, but I mean, maybe you don't think you are because it sounds like you're scared, you're afraid, you've been duped into thinking that oh, if I don't worship this god, then I'm gonna burn forever in hell. And it's a fear tactic. And I actually remember one particular conversation I had with somebody where I brought this up to them and they thought it was funny that I was calling it a fear tactic, because they were comparing it to, the use of a fucking seatbelt, which is not the same in the slightest. And I simply argued back by saying, oh, your religion is only founded on he said, she said. We have actual proof and data how fucking seatbelts can save lives. And notice what I said there. Can. Nobody is making the claim that a seatbelt will 100% save your life if you put it on. It just increases the likelihood that you will survive based on a thing, car crashes, car accidents that we know are actually there and possible. Your religion is just word of mouth from people who supposedly experience God, this and this and that, and they just expect to be taken at face value. So it's not a fair comparison. And I simply brought up that okay, I think it's a stupid argument for people to make, because notice how they say that it's only someone who's a non-believer that'll get the short end of the stick, whether or not God is real or not. And that's still the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because I even brought it up to this person that okay, let's say, because you want to play the what if game in terms of what if God is real, blah blah blah. You as a non-believer are going to pay the consequences for it. Well, you know what? If God isn't real, then you still have the short end of the stick as well, because that means you spent the entirety of your life worshiping something that doesn't even exist. You took a fraction of your life, and I know religion is a big part of your life to a lot of you that, do believe in that stuff, then you wasted a huge chunk of it when you could have focused on things that were, more enjoyable, more real, because obviously if you thought something wasn't real, you wouldn't be believing in it, right? So regardless of who's right or wrong here, we're all going to pay some form of consequence, right? So if you want to argue that your God is actually sufficient and something to actually believe in, then I would avoid you using this tactic. At least to me. Maybe there are more gullible people out there, but I mean, if you're one of those people that are like watching this, I hope this can resonate with you. I hope you don't let them fucking fearmonger you into being recruited in their like religious theistic belief, because essentially they're just trying to back you into a corner and be like, oh, there's a way out, or suffer through this just because it might possibly happen. And it's super dumb, because realistically, if you really had this like train of thought where you're just going to be paranoid like this, then why wouldn't you be just paranoid like in general? Like, honestly, in comparison to Pascal's wager, it would make more sense to me why somebody's like agoraphobic, because okay, there are actual threats outside that you can encounter, criminals outside that like you can encounter that, like, let's say want to do some like fucked shit to you, but you see them taking those risks, right? You see people you know driving cars, even though hypothetically an extremely paranoid person might say, oh, you can avoid car accidents 100% if you just never drive a car, blah, 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 this and this and that. So don't let them take a specific selection of paranoia in order to fucking like fearmonger you into like, getting here. And realistically think about this. And yeah, there you go. That's what I wanted to share.